Hi, I'm Tony, and welcome to my channel, Watch Time LA. Hello folks, today we have a special treat for you from Watch Time LA. We're going to be teaming up with Oscar from ireviewcrap.com, and we're going to basically be doing a double-blind review on the Invicta Pro Diver red dial. How this is going to work is I'm going to review the watch, and as soon as I'm done with it, I'm going to box it up and send it off to Oscar in Florida. I'm in LA, he's in Florida. We will be reviewing the watch without speaking to each other at all. And when both of our reviews are complete, we'll post them at the same time. We'll cross-post on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube all at the same time, and hopefully we'll get some interest in doing these type of reviews. If they go off well and everyone enjoys them, then we'll be doing more. So don't forget, look into ireviewcrap.com and watchtimela.com for our latest reviews. So if you're seeing this, we've already posted both the reviews, so don't forget to go over to ireviewcrap.com for the link and watchtimela.com under reviews and look for the link there, or go to YouTube and look for the Invicta Pro Diver reviews on both sites by typing our respective names in YouTube. Today we're going to be reviewing another Invicta. I'm going to do my first unboxing of a box. This was a Jama Shop purchase. This is my third Jama Shop purchase. They are very quick. I've never had a problem with the 3 orders. I usually get the watches within 2, maybe 3 days. You can see this was 2-day and came very quickly. No problem with that. I already opened the box, obviously, but I just wanted to show you, this is more for the Jama Shop thing than it is for the watch. But Jama Shop always sends you a catalog of their latest stuff. Even if you're buying a $100 watch or a $50 watch, they still show you all the big guys in there. A couple of fashion watches. There's always some sort of catalog. They always give you, thank you so much, little Jama Shop thing. Again, if you have any problems, call them. Never had a problem with Jama Shop. They also have, every one that I've gotten so far, there was a little coupon in there, $20 off with a special code that's currently under my thumb. I'm not sure if it's really unique, but it looks like it's printed on individually. And if I ever want to use it, I don't want it to be used, so I'm covering it up. Fast shipping, blah, blah, blah. These guys are very aggressive on the internet. As far as a gray market seller, they sell pretty much everything I could think of. They're very aggressive marketers. They do a pretty good job. I mean, to the point where if you put something in a cart, you'll get an email at 11:30 that night or 12 o'clock at night says, you know you want it. It literally says that. It's pretty funny. And they don't let you off the hook very easy. Once you've looked at a watch or put it in your cart, especially if you're signed up with your account, they will hound you. Of course, you can cut back on the mail, but if you're a watch freak, you know, you're just gonna keep coming. In fact, that's how I got this one. I had no intention of buying another Invicta. I was happy with the one that I had, but I saw this one come online on a flash sale, they call it, for, well, I'll tell you the pricing in a little bit. But, oh, one other thing about the Jama Shop thing. When you do put something in the cart, of course, within the next couple of days, there's miraculously a sale on that particular watch, and get it now, and there's a little click-on thing, you know, do you want the watch? Do you want to save 20% in free shipping on the watch? You have a yes answer, and the no answer, instead of no, it says, no, I don't like saving money, or something to that effect. So pretty clever all around marketing scheme. Yeah, I'm not calling it a scheme, just the way they do business. So I got the box, and Invicta actually makes better boxes than a lot of higher end watches. This is 10 times better box than any of the Orients that I got, which just come in cheap cardboard box. This has some sort of faux leather feel to it, and some of the bigger watches like the Pro Diver came in a really big one of these. You know, it's textured and whatever. This one is all knocked up. I'm not sure if this is a second or someone had returned it, or I don't know what happened, but anyway, I don't really care. So I opened the box. I noticed right away that, you know, there's this piece of, this is the instruction manual, but there's no card in there, like the warranty card. It's not in there. Just this manual. And it's printed on, you know, 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. Normally you find some things in here other than a piece of paper, but that's all I got this time around. Again, do I really care? Not at this point. So they have this faux material here that they have on all of their boxes, it seems. And again, it's actually nicer than a lot of other watch boxes, but I'm not going to talk about the box anymore. Like a lot of Invictas, it's pretty large. Again, it's, you know, I like being in the 41, 42 maximum range, even though I have a 7 3/8, let's call it, inch wrist. And to give you an example of what watches look like on me, this probably looks a little bit small on me. This is, you know, your standard Seiko 5. And you can see I have a whole lot of wrist left on both sides. I can get away with a little bit bigger watch. But the Invictas, you know, they're famous for the bigger, the better, it seems. And they haven't let up. While a lot of watch companies are going the other way, they're still real big. I saw a watch in Costco that, you know, looked like it could be used for a defensive weapon. But real quick here, let's take some measurements. We're gonna see off the bat, we're at 45, they're calling it 45. Check this, they're calling it 13, it's actually 12.5. And interesting to note about this particular watch, you can probably tell already, this is a quartz movement, as you can tell from the ticking second hand. So for a quartz movement, it's thicker than it has to be. Okay, we're gonna run down some specs on the watch. This is the Invicta Pro Diver red stainless steel men's watch. It has a MSRP of $495. It is their model number 17938. It is a, I don't know, I assume it's a Japanese quartz. We're going to open it up as usual and see what's actually in there. It is all stainless steel case, solid stainless steel bracelet. However, it has hollow end links. It has what they call a flame fusion mineral crystal. I guess it's something that they market similar to the Hardlex in a Seiko. It has Arabic numerals. It has 3 subdials. It has 60 second, 60 minute, and 24 hour for the chrono. It has, actually, the 24 hour is just a 24 hour clock. It does not count the minutes or hours from the chrono feature. So I just want to clarify that. They say it has a unidirectional rotating bezel, but it does not. Jumper Shop says it does, but that is a fixed bezel. It does not move. So I was surprised about that when I got it, because it says on their website very clearly that it has a unidirectional rotating bezel. It has a pull push crown, and it only has one detent because it has no date. So you set the time, you put it in, and that's it for the crown. The band length is 8. They say it's 8.85 inches. That's almost 9 inches, folks. And I just have to show you something here. That sucker is enormous. Can almost fit 2 of me in there. Okay, the bandwidth is 22 millimeters. Gives you a lot of options for a whole bunch of different kinds of straps. And because it has a red dial boy, you could do a lot with this watch as far as looks go. It has a very chintzy stamped steel deployant clasp, but it does have the lock. And it has, you know, kind of very limited water resistance at only 100 meters. You would think for a dive watch that, you know, anything in a dive watch should be more than that. They're dress watches that have 100 meters. And as far as functions, it has chrono, hour, minute, and second. If you look at the hands, it has skeletal hands, and I assume that's so you get the most view of the subdials, which is okay with me. And it has some lume on there, not a lot. And as you can see, the 6 is almost gone, and the 3 is half gone because of the subdials. Now, when we go into some close-ups on here, I'm going to show you some interesting thing about these subdials. Now, overall, The watch is kind of cool looking, but the subdials are kind of hard to read. I think that there should be some more contrast somehow, but the hands on the subdial are extremely tiny. And, you know, I know that's kind of normal, but they're kind of hard to see. Maybe it's my, you know, aged eyes, but even with my glasses, it's hard to see. The second hand also maybe a little bit hard to see. You know, I thought maybe if it was white, it would be really cool, but it's not. And then you have your Invicta logo, of course, which is, put it next to a Breitling logo. Tell me what you think. So the band is also polished in the middle, and it is brushed on the sides like many of these watches. Okay, so the sides are all highly polished. I mean, mirror finished. And then it kind of goes into a brushed on the top, and then the bezel, the fixed bezel, has this serrated edge, and it is also highly polished, and then it goes back to the brushed finish. So it has some really nice, cool, contrasting lines and finishes. So what did I pay for the watch? Remember, $495 price tag. I paid $39.95 free shipping. It's a lot of watch for 40 bucks, but let's take a closer look and see what we're really dealing with. Okay, so here we are inside the case of this Invicta Pro Diver watch, and you can see this SII No Jewels Japan VD 54B watch movement. Now, turns out that this watch movement is actually a watch movement made by none other than the Seiko company. Now, before we get to that, if we go to allwatchparts.com, by the way, is where I get some of my watch parts, we see the Hattori watch movement available for $17.95. Hattori is a subsidiary of Seiko. So you're getting a pretty good movement, a Seiko movement. Now I know it's hard to believe that these movements are only $17.95, but that's how much it costs for this particular movement. There's Essenger.com has it for $19.95, and it looks like the same exact movement. I have to assume that based on this, it is sourced from the same place. So back to our movement. We're going to do a little tour of the movement here. And you see that this one has two stepper motors. Normally you would only see one stepper motor. But since we have the chrono functions, we have a stepper motor for each set of gears. Interestingly enough, it looks like there's some sort of reset button here. You see the arrow there. It usually means if you jump two of those pins, you'll reset something. I've seen this on digital watches. I have not seen this on a quartz chronograph yet, but apparently there's an instruction manual somewhere for how to use that. As we go around the movement further, this is a very nice feature on some of the really inexpensive watches. You don't even see this anymore, but you see here where it says push. When you push that lever down ever so slightly and pull out on the crown, it will pop out. And there's your little arrow. A lot of the newer, cheaper quartz movements don't even have the indicator anymore. So it's a fairly large movement, and that's because of the chrono. The spacer is actually very small between the case and the movement. Most quartz movements are less than half this size. Now we're going to take a quick tour of the case. We're going to look at some of the finishing on the case, and I have to refocus several times to do this. And you'll see that there is some significantly poor finish work on this. There's some quality controls issues here. And you'll see them again here. This is under 1520x magnification. It looks fine, you know, to the naked eye. You'll see them again here. In fact, I'm going to try and change my white balance. What you're actually seeing here on this side is the transition between the polished and the brushed, where the polished is actually coming over onto the brush side. So some significant quality control issues with that. And again, this is a brand new watch. There's your case. Now this is your case O-ring. It's set inside the case and it's not wrapped around the case back. That makes for a much better seal, by the way. Not when you have dirt on it like that, but that's my fault and not the watch manufacturer. We'll take a closer look here and we'll see again these marks. They're pretty much all over this case. I mean, this is something that you would see sometimes you see on a base metal case that has been corroded right where it touches the wrist from years of use. But this is a brand new watch right out of the box. And here you see our hollow end links. And frankly, I don't know where the case was made, but I've seen better looking cases from watches that I know came directly from China. I don't know where this one came from. And there's the back of the bracelet. There's your spring bar. And again, here's some quality issues with the case. We're going to turn it over now and look at the dial and the front. Okay, so here's one of the subdials. This is the second hand subdial. And one of the things I noticed is after playing with this a little bit is occasionally, about 50% of the time, when you reset the hands and it flips back, it doesn't go directly over the 60. In this particular case, it's perfectly lined up. But let's see what happens when we turn it on. Stop it and set it back. Okay, it went back. It's a little after now, but on a couple of occasions when I set, and I've only done it a few times, the second hand snapped back to 59, and it did it repeatedly over and over again. And let me give you an indication of the minute hand. You'll see right now. So this is minutes. So this is 60 minutes. And you'll see that it is off by about, I don't know, a minute and a half to 2 minutes to the left of the 60 when it's been set back. And I did let it go to like 10 minutes and set it back, and 20 minutes and set it back. And it always, in this particular hand, always goes back a little bit further. So there's definitely some quality issues here. Now, in this particular case, I don't believe it's a movement issue. This is probably an assembly issue, and the hand wasn't put on correctly. Technically, if you pop this hand off right now, you could set it back on at exactly the right spot, and that would fix that problem. Now, we're going to look at, this is a 24-hour clock. This does not add to the minute, the second hand and the minute hand subdial. This simply coordinates with the hour hand. So I have to pull out the crown here. So I pulled out the crown, and you'll see as I move the hour hand, so goes the subdial. So this is basically giving you 24-hour appearance, and it is not part of the chrono function. Now this watch has no date, which I think they probably could have fit on here, but this is the 6 on the bottom of the dial. The dial is a metal, some sort of metal. There's your applied Invicta logo and your number 12. Now, as far as these types of watches go, this isn't actually too bad. I've seen much worse and I've seen much better, but I'm going to say this is about average. The skeletal second hands are Made like that, I guess, basically so you could see as much of the subdial as possible when it's over it, which isn't a bad idea. Same thing on the minute hand. It has some lume, but it's not great. There's a couple of little tiny quality issues with the hands. There's some little dots on them, and I think the other day when I was doing this, I saw some lume that wasn't properly cleaned up. But overall, the hands are done well, the dial is done well. The outer chapter ring is done pretty well. But let's take a look at this case now. Okay, what you're seeing now is the transition on one of the lugs. You can see where the smooth part comes over onto the brushed part, and you can definitely see where one floats over the other in either direction. This is just some dirt here. Now I'm going to bring this close to the camera here, but you can see in this area right here, on 3 of the lugs it takes an actual sharper cut down than on one of the others. There's a smooth transition in some areas, and you can see right here where there is not a very smooth transition from the top of the case down to the bottom of the lug. Let's see if I can show you exactly what I'm talking about. In some areas, right here, you can almost see a line right there where it suddenly cuts down. On this side, you see it slightly, and then I believe, yes, on this side, I've turned the watch around now. It's a much smoother transition. You don't see that sharp drop off here. In fact, you see it here again. So 3 out of the 4 of them. And looking at the back of the watch one more time, that's a very large quartz movement. You know, one of the main purposes of a watch is to tell time. Sometimes, depending on the way these hands are lined up and the fact that the hands have some skeletal design, it's really hard to see where the hands are. I'm also going to do a lume shot here in a minute, but that's it for our close-ups. And here's your lume shot. That's as good as it gets. For a dive watch, I'd be pretty scared trying to look at this thing at 100 meters. For those of you who like to compare, here's my $49 Seiko 5. So as I mentioned in the beginning of this video, Oscar from iReviewCraft and I are going to do a head-to-head comparison on the same watch. A lot of reviews of watches are this watch versus that watch. We just decided to take them on our own, not speak about them at all, and just come up with our own opinions on the same, not only the same type of watch, but the same exact watch, because I'll be sending this to him tomorrow. And we'll release them both at the same time and see what differences or similarities we come up with. We will not discuss any of our review prior to releasing them. You'll find out the same time we do. So I got the watch back from Oscar, so this is fast forward almost a month, and I was able to resize it and get it to where it fit just about perfect. I had to take out a full, oh, you must be wondering what that noise is. This is the noisiest watch bracelet in history. It actually even makes the noise when it's on the wrist. And while I have it on the wrist, I thought I'd give you a good wrist shot here. Anyway, back to the sizing. So I had to take out 5 links, which is the most links I've ever had to take out of a watch. So you can have an enormous wrist and this would still work. It fits pretty nicely on the wrist. And it's about the perfect size, and the color has really grown on me. I've been wearing it for about 2 days now nonstop. Like I said earlier in the review, it's very hard to tell the time when the hands are in front of the sub dials and the second hand pretty much disappears. But I like the watch. I've been wearing it. It's going to be my rotation, in my rotation of tool watches at $39. I don't really care if it gets a little dinged or scratched. And we'll go on to final wrap up here. So overall on this watch, no rotating bezel, a lot of quality control issues, but for $39.95 with a Seiko movement that probably is, well, it is worth half of what I paid for it if I were to buy one online. It's a solid piece. I mean, it looks good. Let's try it on. And that's trying it on over my, just have to do that for comparison. It actually sits pretty well on the wrist, and it has an enormous band. I'd have to take probably 4 links out of this to make it work. But compared to the trusty Seiko 5, look at that thing. I have a feeling it'll get a lot of compliments. I haven't worn it yet at all. You saw it come out of the box for the first time. Well, second time, really. Still has the plastic on the bracelet. And as usual, I hope you like my review. I hope you like what Oscar and I are going to try and do every once in a while, is ship watches back and forth to each other to do blind comparisons. And if you do like our reviews, please comment, ask any questions. But most importantly, what keeps us going is subscribers. The more subscribers we have, the more people looking at our watches, the more reviews we'll do. Thank you for your time, and we'll catch you next time on Watch Time LA.